Hello and welcome to the Leaders Council podcast with me, Scott Challoner. This podcast, just like the Leaders Council itself, is all about recognising and celebrating the people who keep this great country running. We exist to give leaders a voice outside of their own organisations and also to support them in the same way that they support their staff every single day of the week. Now, if you are in a leadership role yourself and would like to have your voice heard on the national stage, then please do visit leaderscouncil.co.uk/apply, because we certainly love to have you on the programme as well. Each week on this particular show, I'm joined by a different leadership figure from the world of business, education, politics, sport, or even from local communities, in the aim of truly discovering who those people are that get up every morning and make this country work. We get their take on the current economic and political landscape of the UK and discuss everything that makes all of the effort and the innovation worthwhile in the end. On today's show, I'm delighted to be joined by Hany Agaiby, Director at AG Instruments. This firm is a pioneer in highly customised gas analysis equipment for niche applications and is the home of the MGPS 1000, the world's only all-in-one piped medical gas analyser. Hany, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Scott. Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me for this podcast, and it's nice to be talking to you.
Likewise, Hany. Certainly is a lovely day for it as well. I think a good place to start would be by addressing the elephant in the room here, and that's the fact that we're recording this podcast in early August 2021. So we're still somewhat within the grip of the global COVID-19 situation, aren't we? Even though restrictions are gone for the time being in England. So with that in mind, to what extent has the pandemic by and large affected you and your business, would you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been challenging for everyone, I think, and we're no exception. But also in the midst of all of that, we had some positives which have come out of it. So in terms of the challenges, it puts a lot of pressure on us in terms of staffing, with some staff working from home or ill. We've also suffered delays from suppliers and shortages of components. Especially that some of the components that we use to build our gas analyzers are also used in critical equipment like ventilators. So these components were, as you imagine, in short supply. It has also made it difficult for overseas travel. So and this affected the sales of a particular range of our products, as our distributor for this range couldn't travel to sell and support overseas customers. On the positive side, we are delighted that our new pipe medical gas analyzer, the MGPS 1000, has helped speed up medical gas testing for several new hospitals and wards which have been built for COVID patients. So we've made our small contribution to the efforts that I think a lot of people and businesses have put during this pandemic.
That's fantastic, and of course it's brilliant that the product has really made such a difference in that sense. And have you, actually looking back over the pandemic, do you feel that this experience of crisis management has really taught you anything and maybe sort of made you stronger and more resilient, both as a leader and as a business at large, do you think?
Yeah, I think obviously in times like this, strong leadership is needed, and we've done our best to help the company through it. And obviously, in difficult times, assurance and support and direction is needed, and that has been sometimes through little things like understanding the needs of staff and allowing working from home or flexible hours and things like that. But also, I think having a vision of where we're going helps everyone stay focused and keeps us on track during difficult times. Also, I think creating a nice, exciting working environment where we're fortunate to be developing products which have a large aspect of innovation and to the creation of this environment. I think has helped us, kept us motivated, and made the work more enjoyable, and that I think is has helped us during this difficult time.
Exactly. And when we talk about sort of keeping mental health in check and morale high, certainly amongst the workforce, has it commanded a change in leadership style from yourself to try and just kind of manage that carefully over the course of the last few months?
Yeah, I mean, my sort of leadership style, if you like, is very much sort of hands-on and very sort of working with the people rather than sort of managing from the top. So obviously being in that sort of position helped me be closer to people understand. Obviously, we've got some people working uh, part time because of family commitments or other situations, and so understanding obviously people's needs and their situation, and some of their situations I've been through before, so I can sort of relate to these well. So I think that has helped, and obviously need to be sensitive to people's um, circumstances, and make everyone feel that they are sort of appreciated, and the job is not too demanding for them, and we've done our best to do that during this pandemic.
That's certainly very positive. And sort of given the experience that you've had of kind of building up the business and managing it through such an immense crisis such as COVID, if you could maybe sort of give some advice to a budding entrepreneur or even a younger Hany Agaiby that was just starting out with AG Instruments, what advice would you give to really sort of get someone on the road to success, given the experience that you've had in guiding the business through all of this?
Yeah, I think having a vision is important. So knowing where we're going, I think that is important. So if you know where you would like to be achieving, and keeping that in mind, you know that difficulties is just part of the path to get there. And there's always ways of getting support. Um, but so I think keeping focus on the goal helps, and getting that message to people who you're working with, that we are in difficult time. We have to go through this sort of together, and there is sort of there would be light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll get through that. And we're part of not just sort of a challenge that the country faces, but the whole world. I think we have to keep focused to get through difficulties like these. Yeah.
We certainly do, yeah. We have to recognise that it isn't just something that's isolated to the UK. It's very much a global issue that we're all in together, and the UK government certainly has reinforced that message over the course of the last 16 months, and much has been made of their leadership over the course of that time. What have you personally sort of made of the government's measures to safeguard business? And also, alongside that, have you been satisfied with sort of the timeliness and efficacy of the operational guidance that they've been giving for businesses like yours to keep operating safely?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we all have sort of heard the advice and guidance the government is giving to businesses about measures to keep the business units sort of safe in terms of social distancing, and working remotely, and all the others. Also, I think the furlough scheme has helped us come to. We were fortunate not to need to tap into this, because we had sort of the work going. But I'm sure that would be very much appreciated by a lot of businesses, and I'm sure that has kept a lot of people in employment. So so I mean, obviously, this is an unprecedented situation. I think in my lifetime, I haven't seen anything like that, and I think that goes for many other people. So it is a challenge to cope and respond to such crisis, especially something new, which even scientists have been sort of trying to grapple with and understand. Respond to this on a government level. I mean, I don't envy being at the government to deal with such a situation. So I think this overall has been been a lot of positives. Yeah.
Yeah, there certainly have been, and I think you're very right in the sense that people are quick to criticise, but they don't necessarily want to be in the same position. And I think this is where hindsight is a wonderful thing, and people are really only doing the best that they can with the hand that they've been dealt. And business leaders are having to do that as well, aren't they? Because we've seen that business loves to plan ahead and loves to be able to forecast what's going to come in future. And it's difficult to do that when there's so much uncertainty and things are changing almost so regularly. So leadership has to adapt and to change to that sort of challenge as well, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, it was very sort of unknown situation and how it develops in the future and long term, and there's a lot of sort of fine balance between keeping the economy running and also protecting people's lives. So it's such a difficult task. So I really appreciate sort of people putting the effort and trying to deal with this. Obviously, nobody's perfect. So I'm sure there would be things which have been could have been made sort of better in one way or another. But as you say, looking in hindsight is always sort of lot easier than actually being in the situation to deal with it on the ground.
Exactly right. And you mentioned a little bit earlier on that remote working is something we've certainly seen a proliferation of over the course of the last 16 months, and rightfully so, out of necessity. Do you think that this is one of the features of the lockdown period that's going to be here to stay for the long term, in that it's going to permanently be affecting our working practices? We're going to see people working from home as well as working within sort of offices and other physical premises.
Yeah, I think must do. I think because people are used to working remotely, meeting remotely a lot more than before. So I mean, now like having Teams sort of online meetings or Zoom meetings has become part of business culture now, and people don't necessarily expect sort of visits and meetings even now after sort of a lot of the lockdown has been lifted. It is just more convenient, save time, save petrol, and so why not continue to have meetings like that? And obviously, the remote working it depends on the job, I think, more than anything else. But if it is possible for people to work remotely, I think that has been a very good opportunity to explore such sort of work arrangements. And I'm sure for many businesses that would continue in some way or form. And some obviously jobs it's not practical or efficient to be working remotely, and I would imagine that will still so people will need to come to the office. And, I mean, we make products and we have to handle the components and products with our hands, so we can't do that remotely. I mean, some aspects can be done remotely, but certainly, I think for a lot of businesses, that would change the way the work is done, and I think that's a good thing. And especially now, talking about sort of environmental concerns and reducing plastic consumption, and I'm sure that would be a good thing, and also saving time. I mean, instead of traveling for half a day to go and meet someone, you can just have a Teams meeting, and that will save a lot of people's time and make work more efficient.
Exactly right. And even though working from home isn't a one size fits all approach, and the flexible side of things won't work for everyone, because as you rightfully said, your
Yeah,
own business, AG Instruments, is very much working on site, developing, using your hands. It's that meeting side of things, isn't it? Where you don't need to travel for
yeah,
client meetings. You can be time efficient and tap into that we've seen by sort of having those meetings remotely and just sort of
yeah.
discussing things from a distance. And that's where sort of it's more of like a two-pronged thing, isn't it? They're coming together to really sort of help business move forward as a unit.
Yes, yes. No, no, definitely. I think that would be a good thing. Yeah.
And with the flexibility over sort of working practices, I think it's quite clear as well that where work from home is possible. So, say, for example, in sort of a manufacturing business where there are office-based jobs, I guess there is some expectation that home working should be allowed now, isn't there? Employees'
Yes,
sort of expectations and requirements from employers has changed as a result of the last 16 months, and therefore having that flexibility as a business is going to be critical to bring in new talent, to maintain that new talent as well. So it's a
yeah.
changing time for business, isn't it? And there's going to be a real lot to consider over the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, I think we obviously during the pandemic, some people had to work from home. I mean, we have people who need to shield, people who've got sort of children that are off school, they need to be with them, and so the obviously there are situations where you just have to manage around it, even if working in the office is more efficient. So during sort of crisis like this, sort of the balance sort of can change, and so we had to allow for more of that. When obviously things are improved, and when it's more efficient people to come to the office, obviously that people understand that that is what's happening. I mean, they can see that the work can be more effective and efficient working together. But in some roles, it is possible to work remotely without reducing the efficiency too much.
Yes, exactly. And we talked an awful lot about the future already on this program, but I think we do
Yeah,
need to talk about the future of AG Instruments a little bit more
yeah,
specifically before we do wrap things up. Because in terms of your plans for the next year, as we enter this sort of period of will we recover from COVID? Are we going to sort of see a return of restrictions? You've got a very exciting trade show coming up in the Americas where you'll be showcasing
yes,
the MGPS 1000 product that we touched on at the beginning. And that must be something that you're very, very excited about.
yes. I mean, really, the next sort of 12 months will be focused on exploring the global markets in general for our new MGPS 1000, the part medical gas analyzer. So it is a unique product in the world in many ways, and we've been having excellent feedback from our customers so far, which are mostly in the UK. So now we feel confident to take it to the rest of the world, and so we've got a number of events that we're going to attend, and first one would be in Philadelphia. So that's where we'll be launching our the US version of our product, and I've been invited also to give a talk there at the event,
Mm-hmm.
which would be a very good opportunity. So preparing, but obviously still it's not possible now to travel. So I hope that changes. But if not, then maybe the remote facilities can make that happen. So there's obviously still talking to them. But yeah, we're going to give a talk about actually ergonomics, how so part of the talk is going to be accuracy through ergonomics, medical gas testing technology, and it is one of the things that we are good at. Our actually the company mantra is technology made to measure, and we invest a lot of effort and time to make sure that our products closely fit the user's needs. So we believe that ergonomics is not just it's not a luxury. It doesn't only make it easy to use the product or minimize its injuries and harm, but it can affect many aspects of the product, including accuracy. And so that's why we invest a lot of efforts in understanding the user's needs and make the product exactly match what they need. And I think the MGPS 1000 is a good example of that. So when before we started even developing it, I wanted to make sure I understand the requirements. I went personally attended a full week course, which is aimed at users of a product like this. So people who get trained to perform pipe medical gas testing in hospitals, they have to attend training, and that course was aimed for them. So I went to spend a full week there, understand what the requirements are, what the standards are, what the equipment that is used, what the challenges are, and talk to people and talk to experts and so on, even before we started developing the product. So you can imagine, obviously, that sort of was the basis of our development, and then we kept in touch with people, experienced people in this area throughout the development of the product. And then actually, when we launched it, that was just before the pandemic hit, so it was really for the people who were doing who performed this test. It was really a very positive development in this area. So we're going to talk about this in the US and possibly other events if the travel restrictions allows us. And we're really looking forward to this, and we're looking forward to let the world know about our new products. And it's a very exciting time for us.
Certainly seems it, and it sounds like a fantastic platform over in Philadelphia to go and really promote the MGPS 1000, and I certainly wish you all the luck in the world in being able to get over there and really bring that product to market. It's a shame, Hany, that we're just about out of time on the programme today, because I could literally talk about this all day with you, but best of luck hopefully in Philadelphia. If it has to be delivered remotely, I'm sure it'll be just as fantastic. And like I say, I think it would be fantastic as well to also catch up later on down the line and have you back on the show just to see how the MGPS 1000 product is being received, what it's being capable of, and the impact that it's really been making on the global market too.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Scott, and thank you very much for your wishes. And yeah, we'll definitely want to talk another time and let you know what how things have developed.
Absolutely, Hany. And just lastly, before we finish up on the podcast, please do continue to take care and stay safe with all that's still going on in the world as well.
Thank you very much. The same for you.
It was a pleasure welcoming Hany Agaiby, Director at AG Instruments, onto today's podcast, and I do hope that all of you thoroughly enjoyed the interview. Until next time, now that indoor hospitality is returned and social restrictions have been lifted, I'll be heading back to my usual spot in the Westminster Arms and raising a glass to outstanding leadership, and hopefully over the coming weeks we will not regress and we'll keep enjoying normal life. But remember, do continue to be cautious and be considerate of others and keep yourselves safe, because it really does make such a key difference in saving lives. Take care. Better days are ahead of us. Goodbye.